Welcome to Cravings Control for Fat Loss. I'm your host, Laura Cavallo, former sugar binger, overeater, and yo-yo dieter turned fat loss and cravings coach for hundreds of busy women. Here at Cravings Control for Fat Loss, I'll be sharing mindset, movement, and metabolism strategies for those who are ready to ditch the fat diet cycle and slim down without counting calories, tracking points, or giving up any of the foods they love. Get ready to embrace progress over perfection, grace over guilt, and bring curiosity and learning to the inevitable ups and downs of your life. Expect a decrease in your cravings while seeing and feeling an improvement in how you look, how you feel, and your overall quality of life. I am so excited you're here, boo. Let's get started. Welcome to Cravings Control for Fat Loss. My name is Laura Cavallo, your cravings coach. And today on episode 9, we're going to be chatting about what not to do if you overindulged, binged, or overate over the Christmas holiday. Now, this episode is an episode that you can come back to anytime, any time of year, not just after Christmas or the holidays, but I did want to make this for those of you who might be struggling right now, right? It's the end of the holiday season. There's been a lot more parties, a lot more events, a lot more celebrating, a lot more fun, which means that there's going to be more food around. There's going to be more drinks. There's going to be more temptations, more times out of the house, which, when we are out of our regular routines, it can sort of set us up for just more indulging and wanting to be in the moment and celebrate, and maybe even being, more stressed or anxious in these scenarios and feeling a little bit more tension around food and food decisions. So overindulging is common and it's going to happen, right? But almost as important as figuring out how to navigate these scenarios in less frequency and intensity, meaning how often and how much we eat and crave and binge. Almost as important as this is how we actually respond to it afterwards. Now, if you are anything how I was in the past, you might feel inclined to maybe severely restrict your meals the next day. You might feel inclined to over-exercise to make up for those calories or feel like you have to earn the food. You might want to even do a detox, right? Just get everything out and sweat it out and poop it out and all the things. You might also be feeling really guilty and ashamed. And if you haven't listened to episode 1, the 5 misconceptions of cravings, I do want to encourage you to go back and listen to it because it's going to just lay the foundation for our approach, our values, and what we have seen provide the most success for our clients throughout their journey is just bringing some truth to cravings and having you enter into your journey and to this process with the right mindset, right? And mindset is so much of what we do, and it's going to be so tied to your progress, to your journey, to your results as we help you reduce cravings, manage overeating, achieve your fat loss goals, and just live a healthier and happier lifestyle in the long run. So today I want to go through the mental and physical impacts that some of these default scenarios can have, and maybe some alternatives that can help you be more successful in the long term. So I'm going to go through 4 different scenarios that you might feel inclined to do. And I mentioned them earlier: severely restricting, overeating, detoxing, and feeling extremely guilty and ashamed. And with each topic, I'm going to go through the mental and physical impacts that they can have, and then what to do instead. So let's get started. So number 1, severely restricting meals. Let's talk about the mental and physical impact that this can have on us. So mentally, when we maybe overate or binged, for example, over this holiday or over a fun weekend or, a night where everyone went to bed and we just wanted to soothe and comfort with food, you might feel inclined to start taking food away. And this might be food that you actually enjoy and you like. What this is going to do, it's going to make you feel like you need to punish yourself for your behavior, right? And it's going to perpetuate the good food, bad food cycle. You might start to actually fear certain food groups. Oh, I ate all those chips. I binged on chips last night. I have to take them out. They're so bad. And now anytime you have chips, they're this entity, this thing that is going to make you binge, and it's so bad and it's off limits. And now we start to develop this splintered relationship with food. We continue to perpetuate it, that black and white thinking around food. And obviously this is totally understandable in the sense of, okay, well, I overate that food. Maybe I should take that out for a couple days, right? Mentally in our brain, that makes sense. The reason that you're overeating and binging and overindulging isn't because of the food, right? It's not because of that particular food. It's not because of the chips. There's some other stuff going on behind those chips that we need to get to the root cause of. And hopefully throughout this podcast and in the future with maybe some of our programs, we can help you get to the root of that and start to make some changes. So physically, what happens when we start to severely restrict meals? It can cause a rebound effect. Let's say that over the holiday, I overate, right? And then that following Monday, Tuesday, I'm going to just maybe skip breakfast and have a salad for lunch and then chicken and broccoli for dinner. What's going to happen is physically your body still needs calories. Okay. Your body isn't like, okay, well, you ate a ton like 3 days ago, so we're just going to like be okay with having less calories. Your body still wants food. It still needs energy. So it's going to demand that, and it's going to demand that in hunger. It's going to demand that in cravings. You might get irritable. You might get hangry. Okay. So these are all physical responses that your body is communicating with you. Hey, like we're still hungry. What can happen in these scenarios if you're now taking away some of the foods that you enjoy, like bread and wine and coffee and chocolate, is that you can have a rebound effect. Okay. You can actually end up eating more, overindulging, overeating, and binging more. And you've probably experienced this, and this is at the crux of the binge restrict cycle. We tend to restrict so much that then we end up overeating because we're just starving, A, physically, and then B, mentally, we're just like, oh, I can finally have this food. I'm going to get my fill. So what you can actually do instead is just get back to normal eating. Okay. And what is normal eating? I'm going to encourage you to get back to status full plates. Okay. Status full plates is our framework for creating not only a nutrient dense and filling plate, but also a satisfying plate, right? Because at the end of the day, we're not going to live our entire life without bread. We're not going to live our entire life without bacon and cheese and chips, right? So instead of taking it out, learn how to incorporate it in your day-to-day meals without having it be the star player. And you can go back to episode 5 to learn how to make a satisful plate for yourself. So that is severely restricting meals and both the mental and the physical repercussions that it can have and what to do instead. Next, we're going to move on to over-exercising. Again, so on a mental scale, this makes you feel like you have to earn your food, like you are punishing yourself for eating, right? It creates this hate relationship with exercise. It starts feeling like a chore. It starts feeling like something you have to do, right? And you start doing it almost in a way because you hate what you've done to yourself, right? You hate that you overate and now you have to go exercise. That is not going to leave a healthy, happy impact as it relates to exercise and movement for you. And one of our foundations at Laura Cavallo Coaching is helping you find movement that you enjoy, right? That makes your body feel alive and energized and makes you feel fulfilled and excited and supported and strong. Okay. But now if we're using exercise as a means to control binges, to make up for binges, to punish ourselves, we're never going to want to see exercise again, right? We're just going to be like, this is so daunting. This is a drag. I hate this. And physically, what can happen? It can cause you to burn more calories, again, triggering hunger. And if you're already under eating, it can cause another binge cycle. Now, I'm assuming here that you are trying to burn more calories when we're exercising from a physical standpoint. Because, for example, say maybe you feel like, oh, I ate that whole box of something that was 600, 700 calories. Now you're going to the gym the next day and burning 600 or 700 calories. Your body, again, wants to make up for those burnt calories. Your body wants to stay at homeostasis. It doesn't want to undereat, and it actually doesn't even want to overeat. It just wants to maintain. It wants to be at a healthy, happy place eating. So oftentimes what I see women doing is using, their smartwatches and their phones to track how many calories they're burning and make sure that it corresponds to food that they've eaten or felt bad about. Again, this is causing a splintered relationship with food on a mental front, but physically it's going to trigger intense hunger and overeating. And this is part of the binge restrict cycle, right? And this isn't wrong, right? This is how mentally we make sense of overeating and overindulging. This is how we mentally make sense of it, right? Well, yeah, I ate too much, so I should probably burn it off. But if you're someone that struggles with binge restrict, if you're someone that struggles with food relationship, body image, we don't want to continue approaching your habits like this. It's going to just perpetuate the unhealthy cycle that we want to get you out of. We don't want food and diet and exercise and binges to be a source of stress and anxiety. Now, approach number 3, you might think like, I'm going to do a juice cleanse or a quick detox. I'm going to lose 5-10 pounds really quick. I'm going to poop it out. I'm going to sweat it out. What happens from a mental standpoint is that if you have seen results with this, you start to rely on this as, well, it's fine if I binge because then I can just do a quick detox and lose 5 pounds. What happens with most detoxes is that they're severely lacking nutrients. And it will make you lose because if you're doing a juice cleanse, you're only eating liquids and your body doesn't have to actually work to break down food. So you're going to maybe go to the bathroom more easily and you're likely going to be eating much less calories than your maintenance, right? And at the end of the day, if you're eating less than you consume, you will lose. Doesn't matter if you're eating less calories and Twinkies, right? You're still going to lose. Doesn't make your diet healthy, eating 1,000 calories in Twinkies. You might lose weight. You will likely lose weight because no one is surviving on 1,000 calories, but are you actually healthy? And oftentimes these detoxes aren't super enjoyable. They're pretty punishable experiences, unless maybe it's done once or twice a year, and you're prioritizing more whole foods. And I do want to mention that your body does have a built-in detox system. It's called your liver. Now, I do feel that detoxes, maybe like a spring detox or a fall detox, I feel that these can be beneficial in certain scenarios for certain clients that already have a high quality diet, are focusing on sleep, stress, social support. They have managed their cravings and they're using this as an additional method to support some of their current systems. I do not agree and do not think that it is best for those that don't have a quality diet, are still in the binge restrict cycle, still have a splintered relationship with food, body image, and dieting. Okay, because all this is going to do is, again, mentally perpetuate this binge restrict cycle that you need to punish yourself after overeating, and you need to do it with a detox that probably isn't that enjoyable or fun. And from the physical standpoint, again, it can certainly help depending on the kind of detox you do, but your body already has a built-in detox mechanism. Okay, and you can find a healthier way to do a detox than maybe a juice cleanse or a smoothie cleanse. I just saw something on Instagram like lose 16 pounds in 14 days with a smoothie diet or something. And I was just, that's the stuff that everyone is looking at and saying like, oh, this makes sense. Like I should just do this, right? But there's so many underlying issues that can result of that. So what can you do instead when it comes to wanting to detox? You can increase your water and make sure that you're drinking filtered water. You can do electrolyte water if you want, although there are some studies that say that electrolyte water can possibly disrupt the balance within your gut. So just do a little bit of your own research. Increase detox foods, fruits and vegetables, whole foods and vegetables. And you can slightly aid your digestion with magnesium. Magnesium is a supplement you can take at night. It helps with sleep and it can provide some stimulation if you're having issues going to the bathroom. You should be going to the bathroom at least once per day, having a good bowel movement. So if that's not happening, then there's other things we need to look at like fiber and movement and water and stress. But you can aid your digestion and support your bathroom ventures using magnesium. And again, always consult with your doctor before starting any additional supplements. Okay, and number 4, you might feel inclined to feel super guilty, super ashamed when it comes to periods of overeating and binging. And the mental repercussions of wallowing in shame, wallowing in guilt, feeling judgmental towards ourselves is that it can cause us to spiral more. It can create more angst and more fear, which can lead to more self-sabotaging behaviors. But at the end of the day, when we give into these emotions and let them consume us, it almost dehumanizes us, right? You're only a human. You're only a human having a human experience. And again, the binges and overeating isn't about that actual food, right? Some of us do have like, oh, this is my comfort food, or I'm never going to have this again. There are other reasons why you are binging, overeating, and have intense hunger. So we're not made to be perfect. You're a human being. It's okay. So that is sort of the mental aspect. It can create more of that splintered relationship with food, more of that angst and that more fear. Physically, when we let that guilt and shame consume us, it can cause low energy levels. It can cause total consumption of the mind. Like how much time have you spent thinking about food all day and food decisions? And is this good? Is this bad? And letting that angst, stress, fear consume you throughout the whole day. I know that was my life for 5 full years. Every food decision was the most important one. Well, how do I order this drink? Should I just get it with seltzer? Should I just not have the margarita this time? Right? Oh, I really want this turkey club, but like it's got too much bread. And should I just get the salad and maybe I'll just take the bread off? Before you know it, it's like you just give up. You're like, oh, fuck it. Too much work. So from the physical perspective, could also be, tied in with the mental. It doesn't allow for other things in your mind to be present. You're just all consumed by this. Everything you do throughout the day is consumed by these food decisions and how guilty you feel for the last binge and trying to avoid the next one. So give yourself a little bit more grace, give yourself a little bit more understanding, and try to move forward with more of an objective approach. Why did that craving happen? Why did I overeat? If you are looking for more of a root cause and you haven't listened to episode number 2 yet, I want to encourage you to go back. That is the Cravings Archetypes. And within that episode, I break down the 3 cravings archetypes that I have observed most closely over the last 3 years, working specifically with women in the binge restrict cycle. And within that episode, there's also a link. Well, I'll actually link it in this episode as well. The quiz to take the cravings archetype. That is going to give you your root cause of what is going on with your cravings and your most dominant cravings archetype. You might see some overlap in some of the other archetypes, but it'll give you your most dominant. And now with the results of the cravings archetype quiz, you can actually start to understand that your cravings are happening for reasons that are beyond you don't have willpower, you don't have self-control, you're a freak, you're a bad person. This is just how you're going to be. Because there's a reason. And we've helped hundreds of women get to the root of that and change their habits. And they are astonished, like, oh my God, can't believe I'm a completely different person. So I hope today gave you a little bit of strategy around different ways to respond when you happen to overeat, when you happen to have a binge, or when you happen to stuff yourself full and the only thing you want to do the next day is restrict your meals or over-exercise or jump on a detox or just feel super guilty and ashamed for a long period of time or even a short period of time. There's no need to let that guilt and shame come in. Let's actually move forward with understanding and strategy and solutions versus the shame and the guilt. So I hope this episode was helpful. I know it was a longer one and maybe a little bit more nuanced with some of our topics. I'd love to hear what you thought. Go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram at cravings_control_ for fat loss. It is our podcast Instagram. And I'd love to know if this episode resonated with you and if some of the strategies that I shared on what to do instead can be helpful for you. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, it would mean so much to me if you took less than 2 minutes to give us 5 stars and submit a quick review. Your feedback helps other women who are looking for help with their cravings and fat loss goals find us more easily and benefit from the free content we share. Thank you so much. It truly means a lot.